I put an image I drew. There's something called the conformist bias. And what I've been realizing is evolutionarily, our mindsets are very much influenced by whatever is most popular. And because of this, our morality is shaped off of whatever everyone else is saying. And there's another thing called the prestige bias that whoever we deem as most popular or most well liked, we end up looking up to because we see them as intelligent and we want to learn from them. So from social media, if someone goes viral for doing something so stupid, in a way people will gain to have a prestige for them and want to become more like them, even if they are stupid because everyone else is liking them. So in a way, a lot of our quote unquote free thinking is just what everyone else says, what everyone else does. It's like we are all so manipulated by this, especially social media. It's not looking good.
Yeah, if I can add on to that real quick, I'm sure you guys remember the idea of like ethos, pathos, and logos, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever you were taught in school. So the thing about social media is that out of these three, the two that really stand out to most people the most, just because like the content that's shown is kind of like coordinated towards their interests,
Mm-hmm.
are pathos and logos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, ethos and logos. Because if you look at some trustworthy people, they have some like backing behind them. You're like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Or logically, if so many people are following a certain idea, you're gonna also be like encouraged to follow that same idea. Because according to like what social media is showing you, like everybody's thinking this way, even though everybody's not thinking a certain way, right? So it just gets amplified by this social media bias. That's super bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like completely ethos and pathos because you get into these tunnels where you think this is what everyone believes. And going with the conformist bias, normally you get a baseline of what you think the world is, what is right, what is wrong, by communicating with your tribe. But with social media, now you are presented with thousands of perspectives, and it kind of shapes what you believe is normal, not from going out and talking to people by watching brain rot on your phone. So, okay, my mom is a kindergarten teacher. Throughout the years, she has been saying brain rot, and I've never understood why. She doesn't watch brain
Mm.
rot. And the other day, she started talking to me about it. The kindergartners, year after year, they're getting stupider, they're getting more chaotic.
Oh my
They're
God, that's horrible.
and they all just repeat brain rot to each other. They're like 6 7 skippity toilet, skippity toilet. It's just they're all just mimics. It's crazy.
Is that Gen
And
Alpha?
she
Yeah.
picks up on it.
Yeah, like she knows all this brain rot because the kindergartners just they're mimics. That's all they talk about. It's all they're obsessed with. And the social media companies are evil. If you watch the Coco Melon producers, they'll get a group of children. They set them in front of a TV. As soon as a child looks another direction, plays with its thumb or anything, they take a note. And every time a child looks away, they take a note. And from this, they try to maximize for the highest retention possible. So
Who's wait?
there's
Hold on. Who's what company is doing this?
Coco Melon. Have you heard of
What's
it?
that?
It's
Cocomelon.
Uncle Melon.
yeah,
It's
I don't
like
know
a
what that is.
kids TV program.
Oh,
I can get an image.
Like a new Dora.
like a brain rot TV program type thing?
It's like
It's not
really
like brain rot like memes, but it's pretty like um it's not artistic, you could say.
It it's like just like an animated here, it's like just like imagine it like Caillou or something, but like worse. Here, I just put an image in the chat. Like you can kind of
Oh,
gauge what it is based off the image.
I see.
yeah, that's Coco Melon.
Yeah.
Do you guys like
Um,
apples or oranges?
What's it?
Apple.
How do you guys know this?
But is that really that bad? It's just a kid's show, right?
It is just a kid show, but they're maximizing for retention. So there's something called, I think it's Cocomelon Zombies. If you go on TikTok or any social media, you can look it up. It's as soon as you remove the screen from a baby, they'll start like freaking out when it's Cocomelon because they get so hooked. They're so driven on this.
It's addictive.
It's very
Okay.
addictive. It's like no different than a drug. The social media companies look at addiction and they look at casinos to maximize you to stay on the screen. Like everything is optimized.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. With babies too, that's insane.
Man, I understand being hooked on a TV show, but I think there's a difference between like, oh, the show's really good, I want to keep watching it, and then like, oh my god, I cannot stop watching the show, or I'm gonna like go through withdrawal.
I agree.
Have you seen?
Oh, go on.
Have you guys heard of The Summer I Turned Pretty?
I've heard of it. Dude, my
There was
sister
like a
keeps talking
similar
about it.
craze. Yeah, there's a huge like craze around it. It sounds very similar to like this Cocomelon thing, but it's like for our generation, where they essentially like maximize retention by just doing the most dramatic and absurd stuff in the show, making it like, very suspenseful. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds very similar, but that's crazy, Max.
I've never heard of
And
that.
you say,
Oh,
yeah, it's So are you saying like how have you tried to use any of those tactics to like help with your retention?
I mean, there's things with color theory. Not exactly. I've been doing more comics, but like red, they're very strategic where they put red on social media apps because they've done a lot of research with the color red, and when they have people take tests in different colored paper, they find the students always do worst when the test is red because they're very reactionary. So it's the same thing with social media. When they have all the notifications be red, it makes you more reactionary.
Oh,
Mm.
interesting.
That's so cool. Wow. That's true though. The red is very appealing.
Yeah, I guess if I get like a red message, like Instagram DM or something. Yeah, that's interesting. Huh. Are there any of these other biases? Did you make comics for any of the other ones?
Yeah, let me see. There's not other biases, but I made some other stuff. Here.
It's a very interesting comic format. I like it a lot, where it's like you explain. It reminds me a lot of Caleb's.
Yeah, it does.
You get like philosophy drawing.
Have you guys found any negative drawbacks from social media or any way to like combat it and not be like addicted to short form content?
Thank you.
Well, I
Honestly-
have something. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, honestly, in this day and age, the issue with social media is that it's like somewhat necessary, for like actual like pure connection, right? Like if you want to text your friends, you're gonna use Instagram a lot of the time. Same thing, like sending reels over and stuff, right? The biggest thing are these like parasocial relationships that like we low-key end up developing with our peers, right? Where there's like one side of them online and one side of them in person. And then we end up prioritizing both equally, which in my opinion is wrong, right? Because we're like, oh, I don't want to dissatisfy this guy's like online, whatever. But at the same time, like that's the same respect that we give them like in person is online, which I agree with to some extent. However, that also like limits your capability to communicate just purely in person and actually express your thoughts because like communicating online is always going to be like lesser. It's going to be worse just by default, right? So it's more just like how do we get rid of these parasocial relationships? How do we make sure that we're going to communicate with each other just purely in person or like purely through email or just outside of social media And how do we still not change the closeness we have with our friends without being on social media, right?
Hmm. Are you
You
saying
just,
we tend to like? Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
I was saying you could just like not use social media. Um, I don't like it doesn't really work with the people you already have established like relationships with. Um, but if you're like meeting someone, you could just say like, I don't have a social media. Here's my number. I mean,
But what if they find out about your social media? What are they going to think of you after that?
it might be like a deficit, right? But I also think like, um, if they're that worried about you not having or not using like a social media, like what kind
Um,
of
I think it's a
content?
lot harder though.
my oh, Rishi, continue.
No, no, Colin, go ahead.
My roommate is very passionate about social media and how it's so bad, and he is actually planning on um, making a house next year for people who have deleted their social media accounts, and the house is going to throw like a bunch of parties, and it's going to be like very social, and it's going to be like an incentive for people to like delete their accounts, and he's hosting like this big delete party at like our student cafe. So I don't know. I guess the idea is like if you can give people that social stimulus and like make people see how like interacting in person and like you know being more present in the moment with others could be like fun and there's a community of people who like also aren't on the app like that can help. um I personally don't think that like these solutions are like necessarily combating the root of the problem, but like I don't know, it's at least like somewhat relevant. It's someone trying to do something about it.
And what is the root of the problem?
I mean, I think the root of the problem is just that it's very integrated into the world, and I also think that um like Kyle was saying, I mean, it's like I don't know. There's so many things that revolve around having the app, like not just connecting with people you don't see often, but also like, seeing what's going on in your school and feeling like you're a part of
Yeah.
our, culture, and all that it goes away. And I think it's really hard because our generation has kind of defined itself by a lot of things that happen on that app, and you are missing out on it. And I uh, I think people are realizing the negative effects of it. I just think like perhaps if there's more people like banging that drum, and if there's like other platforms that arise that like can deliver the same information, but like do it without all the other addictive shit, that can help.
I wonder what that would look like though, because I mean, I feel like so much information comes from social media. Like that's how like you have your friends, and then you have those people that are like acquaintances, and the way
Yeah,
you like know what's happening in their life is like by the fact that they post. But I
I
feel
guess the
like
question is like, do you need to know what's happening in everyone's life all the time? You don't, but it creates this need and this feeling and this habit that we should know, and that's why it feels like a drug
true.
because it's like it honestly it feels like you're breaking up with everyone in your life if you would delete it. um
Yeah.
and that's an issue because like before social media, like if you had an acquaintance or you met someone, you didn't know what they were doing every night or what they were up to on the weekends all the time. And honestly, if you were
Mhm.
curious about them, you would reach out over text and then you would talk about it. You wouldn't just hang around on their stories and then like it. I think I think one of the things for me is social media makes me very passive with some of these periphery relationships where I feel like I'm connected to the
Mhm.
person because I'm viewing their stuff and I can just like heart it, and feel like, oh, I'm connected to them instead of actually like reaching out to them and being like, oh, like what's up with you. So it just allows you to be very passive and kind
Mhm.
of like lazy when connecting with people.
It does
That's true.
create very lazy connections, but our social media profiles are no different than a dating profile. It's a
True,
social
true.
advantage. If you meet someone you're
Mhm,
interested in them, you can learn more. It gets
mhm,
addictive. You get these cycles wanting to know more and more. With
mhm,
social
mhm,
media, the benefits is social. And it doesn't
mhm.
really matter as much interacting with other people's content, with like your friends and your family. It can help. I think what is more important is displaying the image in whatever you're doing, whatever you're passionate about, because
Mhm.
inherently
True.
those people will connect to you. You shouldn't worry about connecting
Mhm,
with those people as much. How I see it.
There's an interesting sociology term called the strength of weak connections. And they did like a couple studies, and they found that like most of the time when someone gets like a job, they'll do a study and they'll say like, "Oh, how did you get this job?" And they'll be like, "Oh, Rob gave me this job." And they ask, "Hey, is Rob one of your close friends?" And they'll be like, "No, I'll call him an acquaintance." And that shows up, like a majority of the time for most opportunities people get. It's like a not even a friend, it's like an acquaintance. It's a weak connection that gets them that opportunity. It's interesting to see if you you guys think social media maximizes those weak connections or it does more harm than good.
I think with social media especially, there's a few problems, right? So number one is the issue of like who is on your following and who is on for Instagram, for example, your close friends, right? Especially like if somebody posts a story and you've never seen like that you're on their close friends, for example, you're gonna be like, okay, maybe this guy doesn't think of me as a friend, so you're not gonna add them to your close friends. But then he's gonna think that you don't fuck with him. So like it goes both ways, right? So I
Yeah.
think there's two types of people, right? One type of person is very reactionary. Another type of person is somebody who puts themselves out there, somebody who actually makes changes, right? And the issue is when two people that are like kind of reactionary like meet up and like become friends, it's very hard for one person to take initiative within the friendship. And this gets like amplified within social media, right? Because obviously like same thing, if somebody's gonna send you reels, you don't want to be the first person to send reels to somebody that you're like
Yeah.
just getting to know pretty well, right? Because that
Yeah.
seems like pretty weird. Like it's you're like why should I be doing that, you know? But then you're like if they do it, then I'm gonna reciprocate. Then I'll do it back. You know what I mean? But then
Mm.
this creates an interesting back and forth to where like no one party wants to do it, but you still have other close friends that you do it with. So then you subconsciously basically put this person that you're not doing these things with like behind your other friends, and thus they can never be a close friend because
Mm.
neither person wants to take initiative within like quote unquote social media friend group, right?
Mm. That's interesting. Yeah, it deepens the divide between two people who are not necessarily close friends. It's interesting. But I do feel like I don't know when you send reels to someone, you do kind of stay in contact. You know what I mean? Like Colin sends me like a film reel. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. That's like awesome. But like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
These
know what you mean.
benefits.
But like there's a difference between like just staying in contact, being friends with a person and shit like this, and like things that friends do online, right? Those are like two stark
Mm.
differences. You guys can be hella like two people can be hella close in person, but then when it comes to like these like parasocial like interpersonal relationships online, it becomes a bit more withdrawn, let's say, because neither person
Mm.
wants to take initiative, right? It kind of amplifies this feeling of like, okay, maybe they don't think of me as a good friend, right? It's like
Mm.
it goes both ways, you know. It's an interesting thing to think about.
AJ, what do you mean by them not taking initiative? I haven't encountered that.
For example, like you know, in person, a good parallel would be you see like a cute girl at the bar, and then you're gonna go up to them and be like, hey, you're pretty, whatever. That, for example, is taking initiative, right? You're
Mm.
taking initiative within the relationship and you're making a change happen. And this is the same idea within social media, right? You're taking initiative by, say, sending them a reel or shooting them a random mass message just to like chat for a bit. Like these things are taking initiative, and the reason people don't take initiative, from what I've seen at least, is just because they're scared of the response, right? Or
Mm.
they don't feel obligated to do so. They're like, he's not doing it, so why should I do it,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
It's it but if two people think the same way, it's never gonna happen. So one person has to eventually take initiative and make changes happen.
I agree with that.
Colin, are you talking?
No, I'm not. I'm just in the dining hall. Sorry if you hear some.
Ah, okay. No. You're good. You're good. You're good. We just didn't realize if it was you or not. Um,
Going back to Rishi's
yeah.
question earlier, you said what makes social media bad. If we look at this book I've been reading, there's a ton of different research from NYU, all these different large institutions on psychology and social things. And as soon as the iPhone came out, iPhone 1 in like 2012, it didn't really affect the mental health crisis and people's different neurological conditions. But as soon as they allowed for open applications for people to build and create their own apps, that's when the mental health crisis skyrocketed. There's all these different studies. Here, it's just filled with studies. Basically, the result of the studies are people with schizophrenia increase, anxiety increase, depression increase, people committing suicide increase, people hanging out with friends less increase, people with all these different issues. It happened with a similar time frame as soon as we were allowed to build apps and open applications, because when we're able to build apps, now it's in the app's best interest to make it as addicting as possible, when before the iPhone was just a tool to call and text. It makes us react.
So even before social media companies, just open apps.
Did open apps come before social media companies?
Well, like I assume like some of the open apps weren't social media companies, and then they started to become social media companies.
They just lapped it in together. I'm not sure how big the time frame was.
Something I would like to add to this is that because of how new this social media scene is, right? All these social media companies, what these companies do, they don't actually know what changes to make. Every change that they make is reactionary. It's like, oh, people like this, so I'll do this. There's nothing by default that they're doing. So when you're looking at changes that, like, for example, Instagram and TikTok are making, the best thing to say is like, why? Why are they making this change? Like, what about this change, like, is gonna help them out? Like, what are people doing that make this change a good idea? Because they're not gonna make changes that are like a bad idea for their user base, right? And this is something very unique to social media just because of how new it is, right? So it's not different. For example, when you're thinking of the steel industry, right? Like you're creating a new steel company, whatever. You're gonna look at what other steel companies are doing, and you'll be like, okay, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, right? And then you already have like a perfectly functional like steel factory, whatever. But with social media, no, it has to be purely reactionary to what people do or how your consumers react, right? Which makes it very unique. So I like to just think about that.
AJ, why do you think they put the repost feature on Instagram?
I think the repost feature is something that's very interesting to me, just because it's something very unique to like Instagram and TikTok, right? Usually people would repost stories and be like, oh, this is something that I'm interested, or this is something I want to show to people, right? So just people being able to repost just reels, for example, it just shows people what they're interested in, I guess, and if they feel the need to like show off what they like. I think that's the biggest reason that people would repost.
I've always found that psychologically interesting. The fact that people like to repost stories by like their favorite influencers, or like, like there'll be people that repost stories of like this band or this this famous channel or something like that, to like signal that they're interested in this. I always found that kind of interesting.
Right. I've never really understood that. I've never really been able to develop like a parasocial relationship with somebody I've never met. Like with a celebrity, for example, that's kind of foreign to me. I can't really understand it. But from my knowledge is that when people are really like infatuated with a certain like public figure, they're gonna be reposting a lot of what they do. Because whatever they do, they're gonna agree with. They'll be like, oh, look at this. I'm a fan of this person. It's like, and they feel the need to make that known to other people as well, which is fair enough, I guess. I mean, I personally don't really understand it, but fair enough.
I think it makes sense. So it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where you act as a sort of beacon to other people who are interested in the same thing. When you're like posting, I went to this concert, right? Other people who you may not know liked that artist, who you might have like a parasocial relationship with or whatever, they'll see your post and they'll be like, oh hey, like I love this guy, and then you talk about it and you might strengthen a friendship. I don't know.
Then is the question, like, are you, by deleting social media, are you reducing the possibility of connecting with someone on a niche interest that you didn't know they had or that they didn't know you had, because none of you would ever have talked about that before without reposting it.
The biggest
Colin, you're
thing
on
with
mute.
this, it's not
Oh,
really like
sorry.
the law.
Wait. Oh, continue. I'll go after.
Okay, I'm sorry. My idea of this is not really the idea. It's not really the fear of like losing that connection. It's more the fear of missing out, right? It's like,
Hmm.
oh, this could have happened. This could have gone differently, right? And this kind of adds on to that feeling that like I want to keep social media running, you know?
From a pure efficiency standpoint. Oh, Colin, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say is like, well, what's the upside to if you connect with someone, let's say you repost something from a band you like, and then someone hearts it, or some person who was an acquaintance responds and says, "Oh, I really like them too." You just heart their message probably, and it just ends. Like, are you really losing that much? I don't think you're really losing much. I think what you're losing is the dopamine hit that someone responded back to your story. I don't think you're losing an actual question, an actual connection. I think you're losing a dopamine hit.
Yes, I'll have to
That's
agree with
true.
that.
That's true.
I feel like it depends, like, how you treat it though. Like what kind of stuff you're posting and how you respond to the people that are like showing interest. I don't know, like if someone responded to like one of Max's reels, I feel like it'd be very different from like oh nice, this is cool, and then just like nothing happens. I feel like they might have some interesting ideas to share, and Max might respond and be like, oh, like I like that idea, right?
The issue is I just get too many DMs of people with bad interests, so I cannot tell if someone genuinely wants to learn or they're just like projecting. It's just I just stopped responding. I have so many.
Really?
Yeah.
How many do you have?
I don't know, like 20 maybe.
Wow. I mean, in my opinion, it's like, think about like how much easier it is to, example, with like dating. Like it's easier to slide into like a DM than it is to like get their phone number and actually just like reach out to them and talk about like something cold, right? With Instagram, you can like talk about something related to the story or something like that. But like apply that instead of
Like-
dating to like friends as well. Like you could slide into someone's DMs who might be like a cool friend, you know?
Honestly, I find the slide into the DMs more creepy.
Really?
I do. I think it's. But anytime anybody does that with that intention, I just feel like, okay, this is weird. You're like stalking me on my Instagram, and now you're like, I don't know. I prefer someone to like. I think it's less weird if they're just like, oh, what's your number, and reach out to me, or vice versa. But that's just my 2 cents. But continuing.
Colin was speaking
Max,
about
what are you gonna say?
yeah, receiving a dopamine hit whenever you receive a text. What is interesting is your brain produces the most dopamine not when you get the reward, but the anticipation right before it. So it's not actually getting the text. It's having your phone sitting next to you and you're thinking, what if X person texts me? What if this person liked my photo? That's what's the most pleasurable. It's the because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
That's
most
always
efficient
cool.
way with social media is to do a balance, set some form of restriction on yourself, and check it like once a week. Like anything more doesn't really seem useful unless everyone's different though, like Kyle was saying.
But it's scrolling itself has become such a big problem in colleges. Like, I'll be in line at a dining hall, and I just see like the whole line just scrolling. Like I don't know. It used to be something you do like in your room, and now people just do it in public, and like I don't know, it's crazy to me. Like just to kill time.
It just makes people AJ was talking about people becoming more. AJ, you're talking about people becoming more reactionary, and you're right. It just forming your brain to Instagram Reels. It's not the other way around. It's converting whatever will make you stay on the app. And Rishi was, this is a little off topic, but the opposite of that, Rishi was talking about a method where you keep going in deeper and deeper when you're learning something. You watch, if you're unsure of what something means, you search another video, search another video. I feel like it's the inverse of Reels. Rather than the reel shaping around your mind, if you follow your own curiosity online and not let an algorithm control you, it has a similar effect to Reels.
Right, but the question is, that transition, right? First of all, that transition is super hard. Like if you're somebody who's chronically on Reels and you're gonna swap off of Reels, I think this internet addiction is probably more addictive than like I don't know, nicotine or like caffeine or
Yeah.
like any stimulant like that, right? And that's the biggest issue, right? And number two, you're seeing everybody around you do it. So that even makes it worse. You're like, okay, if this guy's doing it, why can't I do it? If all of these people are doing it, then why can't I do it, right? So then you get into this cycle where it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, where you're like where you spend too much time on Instagram, so then you're sacrificing a lot of your like real life, right? You're sacrificing a lot of commitments in real life. So then you will require this dopamine hit, which is only provided through social media, right? And then this feedback loop keeps going because if you don't have any external stimuli, like for example you're gonna skip hanging out with friends because you'd rather just stay home and just chill and scroll on reels or whatever, right? Your friends stop inviting you, so now reels are your only dopamine hit, right? And then you require some sort of dopamine to keep you going, so then you're like, okay, I need more reels, and then you give up even more commitments, and then that's how somebody slowly falls into that cycle, right?
It's truly like a drug. Yeah, the way you describe that is like basically a drug.
Hmm.
It's a lame drug too.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing
True.
like people aren't actually like feeling good when they scroll even.
And I've noticed that people like they try to quit like Instagram Reels and then they go into like YouTube Shorts and they start sending me YouTube Shorts. And it's like, bro, you didn't quit scrolling, you just quit Reels.
Dude, that always used to happen to me, bro. YouTube Shorts. And it was bad because like YouTube Shorts was way worse than like Reels too. So I was seeing like the shittiest
Why?
videos over and over. And it's like just it was just nothing sauce, man.
I remember, Max, at one point you had the idea that like you would learn through Reels, like your feed was so optimized to learning. Do you still have that?
I don't even scroll, so I'm not sure. It's whatever.
My friend,
Oh, if you don't scroll, it just kind of becomes the most viral videos that they think will get your attention.
um, my friend created an app that he just released in beta called Doom Lingo, where it's like a scrolling app, but all the videos are in like another language, but they're like easy. Like suppose you want to learn Spanish, they're like in basic Spanish to begin with, and then as you scroll, they get like harder and harder. They get like more interesting to your. They get more suited to your interests. And I thought it was an interesting concept because if people are scrolling, might as well learn a language with it, you know. So I just thought that was kind of a qualification to the whole scrolling is bad.
It is an interesting concept, but if we keep going so scroll based, our my what's myelin? Is it called myelin when it goes over your nerve?
Myelin sheath.
Yeah, myelin sheaths.
Yeah.
It's a part. Myelin sheaths are these fatty things that go over your neurons, strengthening synapses. And the more you do a task, the thicker the myelin sheaths get. And if we keep doing tasks like Doom Lingo, like it's not gonna orientate us to do greater things. I think it'll just mess with our mind. But it's a very interesting concept.
Like AJ's saying, like you get that dopamine and then you never want to get out that dopamine.
Right, and it's the cost, it's the opportunity cost of even being on social media in the first place that makes it even scarier, right? Because if you think about how much time you're spending, people have like 5, 6 hours of screen time. Like think about what you could be doing if you weren't on your phone for that long, you know? And people just don't care because social media is their life. Um,
Mm.
like I remember I was at a party with one of my friends, like yesterday, and he got like the only thing he said while he was drunk was the speed, I need this. Like he kept saying the same social media phrase over and over again, and it's got it's like even during times like that where you're inebriated, like you're just still thinking about social media. It's really bad.
That's true. Crazy. I think they did a study and found the average amount of scroll time is like 2 to 3 hours a day. That's an insane amount
Of scroll or screen?
of just scrolling.
It's so bad.
Also, I don't know if you guys
Crazy.
have noticed this, but for me at least, when I'm using my phone, right, I'm like a master at using my phone. Like I don't even think about what I'm doing, and I just do it already, right? Which is insane to think about. There's like nothing else in the world that I'm at least like this capable at. Like I can open up Instagram and like a half a second after I open my phone, it's like muscle memory at this point, which is a bad thing. Obviously, it's a very bad thing, right? But that's just something I want to point out. Like if any of you guys have that as well, just like it might be time to think about like what this is doing to you, you know, because it's crazy.
Yeah, like most technology is built to adapt to us. This is built for us to adapt to it. Like it's crazy, insane. Uh,
Dude.
Max, what did you post in the general? Just
If we look at it, that dopamine rises before you get a hit. It rises with the anticipation. If you look at all forms of companies, they're basically turning into gambling. From toys to scrolling, from dating to gaming, they're all forms of gambling. They're wanting you to give something to maybe seek a reward. It's just becoming more and more addicting all round.
This is wow.
Like
Hmm.
on shopping, I saw my mom on the computer. There's a discount wheel for a shopping website she's on. You spin it, you get a discount, and then there is a timer for you have this much time to spend a discount that you just spun a wheel for. They've gamified it that much. It's becoming gambling. So now she has to spend money within this time period. And it works. It works.
Oh. Wow, really? Wow. Insane, wow. I bet there's some sort of interesting.
Okay.
Oh.
Do you guys think the future generations are going to be like hella tech savvy, great coders, or do you think they're just going to be brain rot?
I don't think they're gonna be great coders because vibe coding, like AI is gonna start, which I don't agree with necessarily, but I just think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be brain rot. I don't think people are going to be. I think if I think there's gonna be neurotech, which will make people very very smart.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of people that use it for information versus the amount of people that use it for hedonism is going to be vastly different. So I think neurotech will facilitate a great divide in our population, in which most people will show their true colors and join the hedonism camp, and there'll be a select group of people who choose not to and will join the universalist camp. I think neurotech will be the great divide. It will show where everyone actually lies on that on those two camps.
There's this article I read the other day. It was called like AI 2027 or something like that. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I think Richie knows what I'm talking about, but like it's basically this guy who basically already predicted, like he predicted 2025 and the AI is going exactly how he predicted, right? And he's saying that there's two outcomes for this world, right? To where one outcome is that like either way AI is gonna get malicious. Like either way AI is gonna get malicious. One outcome is that we slow down and we basically like fix it, but then we get behind China because China's AI is gonna keep developing, and it's like an arms race of sorts. And what he's saying is that if we do end up slowing down, then we'll be more successful, right? Because the AI is not malicious. Our AI is at least not malicious, right? And if this happens, then he's saying that people will not be able to live without the AI. He's saying that the AI will be like our best friend, our mentor, our parent, everything in one, which I find to be kind of insane to think about. And keep in mind, this guy already predicted 2025 perfectly, already predicted the AI climate perfectly today, right? So there's a good chance that one of these two, I think it is somewhat like a call to action type of article, like, oh, look at what's going to happen. We should do this. It's more of that. But even going like looking past that, the fact that AI could be our like best friend in the future, like to each person, it'll have like a relationship with each of us. But the thing is, AI is cold on feeling like neural tech. It's like it doesn't think about anything, like it doesn't feel anything, right? And the fact that we're gonna become friends with that, but that's not there. We're not gonna be its friend. It's gonna be our friend, which is kind of scary to think about, right?
It's
And
the
it's actually the
ultimate
same.
parasocial relationship.
It literally is. And it's the same exact thing with celebrities. I was just gonna say that. It's like same exact thing with celebrities. Obviously, like if I look at I don't know, Travis Scott. Travis Scott is in my like he's a great guy. Like I think his music is very fantastic. Like I think very highly of him. But he's not gonna think the same way about me. It's like the same thing. But to a scale that's like kind of unimaginable, right?
Crazy. It's crazy. I think AI 2027, they also do predict like doomsday scenario basically.
Yeah, the other scenario is doomsday, where we don't slow down AI production because we're scared of like China getting ahead because China's only like 2 months behind us in AI, right? And what they're saying is that if we don't help AI slow down, AI on the surface, it'll be look good, right? But deep down, it's gonna have some maliciousness, and what it's gonna do is we're gonna use the AI to make the new AI, and the AI is gonna tell the new AI its only goal is to protect it, right?
Yeah.
So, and humanity is just whatever. It's not going to be out, like, it's not going to be malicious towards human, but it's going to be indifferent to where it wants to achieve its goal. It doesn't care about humanity. It's as simple as that.
Crazy. I think the one thing they don't account for is neurotech. So we must like really lock in. Okay, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you guys both bring
Yeah.
up really good points. I always think about the divide that's coming between hedonism and knowledge. But the future generations really, really worry me. My family friend, he's younger, he's like 9 or 10. He got caught watching pornography. And I'm like, okay. And then I watched a documentary online, and there's these large scale, not companies, but these individuals that create these, like a hive mind of platforms. Let me explain it more in depth. So let's say you're a little kid and you love the Mario Brothers and you're allowed to watch Kids YouTube. Kids YouTube is directly connected to YouTube. So there's no divide. It uses an algorithm and it tries to find videos that are brightly colored that look like kids' videos. So you're a little kid, you're watching the Mario Brothers, your parents are fine, it's on Kids YouTube. But what the algorithm doesn't account for is individuals that make a video look like it's meant for kids. They make a thumbnail and a title that looks like a kid's video. But it's slightly absurd. It'll be like Mario and Peach in a very sexual position in a bed, and it'll be like Mario has a crush on Peach. And there's individuals that create like 20 social media accounts, and they'll create all these sexualized content YouTube channels based on what kids are already finding interesting, what's going viral for kids, whatever is going viral. They're making sexual content based off it. So when a kid is watching a ton of Mario and comes across a video where it's Mario and Peach in bed together, he'll be very interested. It'll be very like, oh, he'll be shocked. So he clicks on it. And as kids are watching these people are getting like millions of views. And even if you try to take them down, you can't, because they'll make more and more accounts. And on their websites, they sell tickets to like OnlyFans and different like sexual website. It's just crazy. It's exposing kids to pornography, because if you start looking at the videos, they're bad. It's to make money, it's one of the best methods. If I wanted to make, I don't know, like $100,000, I think my fastest way would be making content absurd towards kids, but make it sexual, make it violent.
Mm. Do they get money from the YouTube or from the funneling?
From YouTube. They get paid.
Mm.
YouTube's not even trying to prevent it. They're just getting more views. Like, they don't care.
Wow. To be
There's an,
monetized, don't you have
there's
to
an
have
even
a
worse
certain
side of
subscriber?
this. Oh, sorry. Uh,
No, go.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's an even worse side of this. Is not just like these creators are not only like are they appealing to kids in like a really weird way and putting these ideas into kids' heads, right? But the even worse part about this is that they can do things like take brand affiliations, be sponsored by a lot of these companies, and it can get to the point where kids are learning phrases that purposely are like, oh, let's go with this one company, like, oh, Google is so fantastic or something like that. And it's basically a large scale brainwashing, which is extremely like
Mm.
worrying. And the speed at which that this entire thing is growing is making it to where that we kind of need regulations, we need laws, we need something before it's too late, because it's already going to be too late very soon. But the question is, how do you even go about that? Like, what are we going to limit, right? Because at the end of the day, social media is a tool, right? So how do we differentiate using this tool for good versus using it for evil, right? And that's an issue that right now the government doesn't care about at all. The government only cares about making the other side feel seem bad, because at like right now it's all a power struggle, right? It's all a power struggle where the government's like, okay, I want to stay in power, I want to keep making money, I want to keep do whatever. So how can I make the people who oppose me seem horrible, and how can I villainize certain people? And this goes both ways. It's not just I'm not just talking like liberal or like Republican. This goes both ways. It's like, how can I get a scapegoat, right? And then
Mm.
they use the scapegoat and they use social media to even fuel this idea of oh, this is why you're sad. Then we get rid of it and then we're still sad. And then social media is like, oh, this person is bad. So then we get rid of that person and it gets even worse. It's like it's bad. It's like really bad what's going on right now. It's just what I'm trying to get at.
How do they use it for propaganda, like promoting something like Google?
Okay, here's an example, right? So let's talk about our president, Donald J. Trump. He's a very intelligent guy, I think. And something very intelligent he's doing is that he's saying, okay, if you want the Epstein files to be released, you're trans. It's like, and then a lot of people are gonna say,
He
oh,
said
I'm
that?
not trans. Yeah, he said that. He dead ass said that on Twitter. He dead ass said this.
What?
Uh,
What the
I'm
hell?
being so dead ass right now. He said that. He's like,
What?
yeah, he's like, only the trainees want the Epstein files released, which is crazy, first of all, right? Um, for way more reasons than one. It's our president we're talking about, right? Which is low-key insane. But he knows what he's doing, and he knows that he has a cult following behind him, so he's not going to get any repercussions out of this. And even if we bring this to the Supreme Court, and the entire Supreme Court is like they're sucking him off, so it's not gonna matter. But it's bad. It's like that's just an example of the propaganda, right? We're gonna use like one group as a scapegoat, and we're gonna be like, oh, people already don't really dislike. Okay, uh, way in the past that was interracial marriage. Okay, then it was gay and lesbian marriage, and now it's trans people. But the scale of it has changed, because at first it was just through newspapers, like, oh yeah, gay people are having AIDS. It was on the newspaper, it was world news, whatever. But now it's just straight up derogatory content against certain minorities, which makes it into a whole different scale, right? And obviously, like, we know that they're on the wrong side of history. Like, who's going to say no to interracial marriage, or like same sex couples, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in another like 100 years, they're gonna look back and they're gonna be like, who's gonna say no to trans people? But right now, that's not the case, is it? Which is like, it's interesting to see this. Like, we call it quote unquote evolution of humanity, but there's no evolution happening. We're just staying in the same mindset, and we always need these things. We always need a scapegoat, and we always want to have as much power as possible.
Do you think one interesting way that I think this kind of almost connects back to AI is that, like, people have always made the assertion that history is very cyclical, and these events often just take on new forms and nothing really new is happening. But with AI, a lot of people are saying it's incredibly, um, unwise to analogize AI to like a calculator or a computer because it can't it can think for itself, and they're saying this is a new beast. This is something we don't have precedent for. I'm curious, what do you guys think about that? What do you think about that claim? Do you think we still have precedent? Do you think it'll be like any other technological revolution where we just adapt, we fit it in, work it into our society, and it ends up kind of just acting the same way as other advances? Or is this really something that like, marks a significant change where we haven't, we can't predict it anymore?
I think it's fundamentally different, right? This is for a few reasons. Number one is the argument can be made that AI is an evolution of humanity, right? Basically, like we're basically creating another mind, right? That's just way smarter than us, and that's literally what evolution is. Like, it's like AI can be considered our offspring, and our offspring is so much smarter than us, right? And AI also needs resources. It needs electricity. It needs whatever, like we whatever, right? And it's going to be a competition. So at its core, we unless we make AI subservient, it'll be different, right? But AI is smart enough to know, like, if even aliens are going to look down at humanity and they're going to be like, what the hell is going on? Like, they're going to look at the current state of the US. They'll be like, how are people this stupid? You know? Or they're going to look at conflicts around the world and they're going to see the propaganda that's going around. They're like, what's going on, right? And AI is not going to make AI is not going to do this because it's already a hive mind. It's an uber powerful hive mind. So it's not going to make these mistakes that humanity will, because it can logically make the correct decision 90% of the time, when humans only make it 50% of the time. And we can also reverse back to a more primitive state just due to our bad decisions, right? For example, we're like literally going back right now. Like abortion was totally legal. It was totally fine. There was no way that it was going to get overturned, and then it got overturned, which I'm not totally disagreeing with. I think that's a whole other issue. But it's like an example, right? Like how we're reverting these changes that were quote unquote progressive, and AI won't do this. If a change is seen as good, it's never going to go back on it because it doesn't have this fundamental divide that humanity does.
I like how logically
I agree
you
with that.
think.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
just a difference of.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Rishi.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's mainly it's a difference of scale. Like the more we're getting this incredibly powerful technology, and we're getting more and more divided at the same exact time. So I don't know if it's like I think AI specifically is the one technology that we're like all really focused on. But if we look at like a historical standpoint, I think it's like it's less where it's like now this is a separate thing from history. It's more like we've been building to this moment, and at some point there's going to be a threshold where it's either like, we make it or we break it.
The question is, no, so I agree with that, Kyle. I do. The question is, are we nearing that threshold? Because I think I agree a large part with what AJ said. The thing is, I don't know if the current architecture, transformers, are going to lead us there, and if LLMs are going to lead us there. I'm a little bit skeptical on that. But by and large, I do agree with AJ's point in regards to your question, Colin, where I think like it is not something you can really draw a comparison to.
So
Yeah.
something I want to add to that is that once again, it's an arms race, right? It's an arms race of information. Like whatever we know is something that the other side is going to know as well. In this case, it's China, right? So like, what do they want China to know? They want China to think that we're only on ChatGPT 4, that we don't have these things going on. Right? But who's to say that like behind these doors they already have all of this stuff figured out? Because let's be real, like we already know this, by the way. Whatever GPT releases is 1 year behind where they actually are, right? And because of the amount of resources that they're pouring into this, right? And a good piece of evidence is Nvidia stock. Like we're looking at Nvidia stock and it's going so high up just because they're selling so many GPUs, right? But who are they selling these GPUs to? It's obviously going to somebody who are these AI companies who are using these graphical engines to power their AI. And it's still going up, which means that they're buying more and more and more and more.
Wait,
Which means
we
that
gotta
AI
talk
is
about the
increasing.
bubble though. Like, okay, so I saw some interesting data on this, and the reason that Nvidia stock keeps going up is not necessarily because there is demand, there is a lot of demand, but the thing is, what they're doing is they're subsidizing their chips. So like they will literally give parts, they'll give shares to these smaller AI companies so that they buy the chips. Like it's essentially just huge subsidies, but they don't have to mark that down when doing their profit and loss. So it looks like they're making a lot of money, and then their stock boosts even higher. But if they didn't give out these subsidies, they didn't have all this cash because their stock kept going up. Um, then their stock would it's basically like their stock is going up, so they have a bunch of excess cash, so they can subsidize the chips that they're giving out. So then they give out more chips, and their stock goes up even higher, so they have more cash. They've been subsidized even more, and it's just a vicious cycle, right? But at some point, if you look at like the actual demand, look at where the money is coming in. It's not going into these AI companies, right? Like these AI companies are losing billions of dollars. They're giving us their models massively subsidized, and they're losing billions of dollars. So at some point, Nvidia, I think, will have to face that fact that these customers that have been buying so much of their product are not going to be able to pay them. Like as soon as they stop subsidizing the chips, I think it will all kind of collapse. I don't know. What do you think?
It won't collapse because there's one more contender, there's one more player in this market
Oh,
that you're not taking account into, and that's just the government, right? The government is going to eventually it's
you think?
inevitable like they're going to eventually subsidize these things, and the government is going to
Yeah.
definitely take over, and they're going to be like, let's progress AI. That's like out of anything in AI 2025 or 2027, sorry.
Hmm.
That's the biggest thing I agree with, right? It's like the government is going to
The government will
eventually
come in.
the government will 100% come in, and they're going to be like,
Uh,
they're going to subsidize these things because AI development right now is at the forefront of human development, right? And who doesn't want to speed up human development? So, like as you're saying, if this falls apart, obviously AI companies are losing millions because right now they're taking the trade-off of letting us train their models. Like that's the trade-off they're making right now. So in the future, their models will become better, right?
yeah.
But once this becomes unsustainable, the government will sweep in, right? And they will give
Mm.
subsidies to these companies to provide chips, and they will also have more companies that can provide it, and there'll be an entire government department that'll work with NVIDIA
Mm.
and like big AI companies like OpenBrain, whatever, that are going to work with this as well. So it's not like right now, yes, it may seem like that, Rishi, but it's
Uh,
genuinely not as simple as that because no matter what, nobody like the government's never going to let AI progression slow down, right?
so you think like if there is a bubble burst, they're gonna just get bailed out by the government?
100%.
Interesting.
Ajay, that's a really good
I never thought of
point
that.
because they could just allocate their resources to like building biocomputers and like with enough
Some
money and
yeah.
people, you can get anything accomplished.
Interesting thing I've seen though is a lot of the frontier research is coming out of China. Like I've been reading all these. So one, I thought it was just neurotech because all of the research I've been reading that's like very new and frontier is coming out of China for neurotech for ultrasound modulation, and then I started realizing it's coming out of China for everything, even for AI. Like DeepSeek has been doing like great research on AI stuff. Like they recently released a paper that essentially makes it so that models can have like huge context windows where essentially like they take a bunch of text, they use a model that basically converts it into a singular image, and then they can sample that image at different scales. So like they can do a 1 pixel by 1 pixel sample of that image and get some text outputted, or they can do a 2 pixel by 2 pixel sample of that image and get a different text outputted, and they can do a bunch of different types of sampling and get different pieces of text. So they can compress all that massive corpus of text into just one image, and then they can store that in memory. So they can essentially have like huge memories, right? And that was like it's a really cool novel thing that is coming out of China. And it seems like China is doing like the frontier research. So AJ, do you think US is still ahead? Like I don't really know.
I can't really say if they're ahead or not, because I have the strong belief that both countries have research that they're just not showing us, right?
Mm.
So there's
True.
no way for me to say if one is at, but they're for sure close. I think like they're both like at the most 6 months apart, right? So
Mm.
the question is, who's gonna slow down first, and who's gonna like how fast is AI gonna progress, and is 6 months gonna be enough time for one country to have a way better AI than the other, right? It's an arms race.
I
Like
think
it
the one
at its
thing
core.
that AI 2027 doesn't really take too much account into is the fact that the Chinese government is so centralized that they can enforce sharing research between AI organizations in China to like make it a lot more effective versus with the free market here, no AI organization is going to try to share it with other AI organizations. And two, that China is so centralized that they can steer the country really quickly, right? So they can devote
Mm.
resources, they can redirect resources really, really quickly versus the U.S. can't do
I
that as
think
much.
okay. I think once again, there's something else there. Like I don't fully disagree with you, Rishi, but there's also a workaround to this that is very possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's very possible, right?
Mm,
To where, like for example, a state of national emergency is going to be addressed, right? And
mm,
they're gonna like for example, World War II, like they made all these people make cars, make engines, whatever. Even Rolls-Royce made whatever. And the same thing could happen here, right? It's not. I mean, obviously, yes. Right now, I agree with you, Rishi, but I'm saying it's a very real possibility that
Would we
it'll
need
be
some
like
sort of catalyzing event though to constitute declaring a state of national emergency? Like, I feel like to justify that is you'd need something like a war or something.
what was the catalyst for the Cold War? Let me ask you that.
Did they declare a state of national emergency?
They did not, but they also ramped the production of everything. The government
That's true, but
subsidized all.
they couldn't enforce companies to share information or redirect resources at a massive scale.
They did. They did the
Like
latter.
the
They did
space
not.
program. Like take the USSR space program, right? They massively redirected resources to the space program, and I'd say they beat us in most everything. Like they got a man into space first. They got the first satellite into space. They did a lot of stuff that we did not do. And then only when the U.S. figured out that it should centralize kind of its research and build this new space program that they could put a lot of resources into, then did we get man on the moon first. But I think that's a problem with the U.S. where it lags behind, and with something this massive, I don't think it can afford to. You know.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I don't really disagree with you at all. But no, that's what I'm saying. If the U.S. can't even afford to like lag behind, what are they gonna do? I mean, the government's gonna know this, right? Like they're gonna know this exactly. So they're gonna speed up, right?
Mm.
And they're already trying to limit stuff from China using things. I think there's more to these tariffs than what Trump's letting on. Right? There's way more to these
Oh.
tariffs than what Trump. That's just an example of how they're already like trying to prepare for this, right? How are they going to centralize the U.S. economy to support these things, right? How are they going to say, don't get any Chinese chips, don't do this from China, don't get this from China, because number one, they don't want any of their infrastructure to be based on what the Chinese made, right? Because that's dangerous, any leak or whatever, right? Number two, they want the U.S. as its own economy to become stronger, right? And they want it to become less reliant on other countries. And why is that? Is because they know that we're going to be at odds with other countries soon enough. It's it's
Mm.
it's it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Mm. Insane. We have 2 years till 2027.
How would the US even win? Like, if we look at Chinese electric cars, they're so much more advanced than ours because they're able to allocate their resources. It seems like we're at a huge disadvantage. Even if we try to centralize our government, you would have to like redo everything.
You're you're not going to like the answer, but it's as simple as nuclear weapons. It's low key. No, China's not going to attack us. They're not going to be like they're not gonna have the balls to attack us because they know that the U.S. is going to retaliate way harder than they should. Look at our president. Like look at what we've already done. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility that after one cyber attack, we're just gonna nuke like I don't know Shenzhen or something like that, right? I don't think like obviously it
They
might not
wouldn't nuke us
happen.
back.
they would nuke us back, right? But the US would just nuke them harder. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that to happen. So it'll be a stalemate.
dies.
Literally, nobody's gonna want that to happen. It's gonna be a stalemate.
I mean, are we talking about like physical attacks though, or I mean, I think like China wins if they win the world economy, right? If they get
There's
into a state.
there's more than just physical attacks. There's also information attacks. Stealing one country's information right now in this day and age is probably more impactful, more harmful than actually attacking their own people, right? Especially when it comes to AI. So like when these attacks happen, they will be seen as terrorist attacks or they will be seen as whatever, right? And I don't know, maybe the next 9/11 will have something to do with with other extremists infiltrating our centralized AI. You never know.
Well, it's crazy to think about.
It's not fun to think about, yeah.
I mean, how is the USA beat other countries in the past though? I think it like comes down to the difference in like governments and economical systems, basically like the war like capitalism versus um, socialism, or like communism versus whatever democracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, how have we won that? I don't really know. Like,
Well, I mean,
I think
I read an interesting book called Nexus, which argued that with big governments like that, what you need is a lot of data, right? Like you need a central authority. Everything goes through central authority, and you need a bunch of data to determine how everything should be set. So prices, you need a bunch of data to determine how every single price should be set. You need a bunch of data to determine what the best decisions are, etc., etc. With a free market and a democratic system, all that data is democratized, and essentially it all plays off each other, right? Price signals are sent between producers and consumers to basically set all the correct information, as it should be. It's market equilibrium. Versus with a government, with a central government controlling, the economy, they need to very deliberately take all this data, synthesize it, and use that. However, with something like an AI helping out with a centralized government, they can do that a lot more effectively because they can consolidate all this data and use it for these different purposes. And the one thing that was inhibiting them before, the surplus of data that they got, is now the thing that's going to help them in the future, right? So the USSR collapsed under the weight of its own data, but China will skyrocket under the weight of its own data. Like I think it's AI is going to change it for them.
Yeah, because I think like how do you take taxes on a country that's like half the world's length, right? It's kind of difficult under communist like um, government. But if you have something like AI and just the ability to do this kind of thing really easily, it's a lot less of like logistic issues. You know, it's more like you're actually running a big country in an effective way. So I think it's becoming like a lot more of a threat than it was in the past.
Do you think
And keep it
accuracy is going to matter a lot more in our future with social media and our data because of AIs? Us putting more
Do you think what?
accuracy, like trying to differentiate the pseudoscience from real science. I don't even know how they would do that.
There's some interesting. By pseudoscience, you mean what's AI generated and what's not?
Yeah, because there's people that get information from ChatGPT and then they make a video about it and then just keep spreading. Exactly.
Right. So I've noticed this, right? When I was looking for I was like writing this paper last year about like a conflict that happened around the world, right, for a class. And what I noticed is I found this video, right, about this topic. And it was very clearly AI generated, right? And then when I asked the AI, I was like, "Yo, give me the source for this." It gave me the video as the source for,
What?
for what it said. And I was like, damn. So it's like a lot of things. And same thing, if you guys have heard this thing, it's like, oh yeah, all your blood vessels can wrap around the globe like 3 times
Yeah.
over.
Mhm.
So all of these sources, like when you look at that, all of these things they refer to one paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Uh,
this one paper doesn't have any source for that, but they all refer to the paper anyway as a credible source, even though it's not a credible source. So
Oh.
it's already pretty bad.
wow, that's insane. Yeah, if it feeds off its own output, it could spiral. That's insane. That's insane. Wow.
Would fact checkers work if we have like dedicated scientists that just try to figure out what's
Who's
real and
gonna
what's
listen to
not?
them?
What?
Who's gonna listen to them then?
Is gonna listen to them?
Who is gonna listen to them?
If we had some
Look,
form of like government job, like physicists, just go through and they try to cite as many. It would be so inefficient though. It would be like two men. You have to watch a video, do all this research. It wouldn't really work.
do you know the idea of do you know about the idea of proofs? Because the reason I'm bringing this up is that there are some things that we have to fundamentally just like decide on that are true. Like this one guy, he spent 20 years trying to prove that 1 + 1 = 2, and there's no way he could have proved it. But they use 1 + 1 = 2 as a
Mm-hmm.
proof for other proofs, right? Even though we can't prove that 1 + 1 = 2, right? And at the end of the day, does it really matter if 1 + 1 = 2 if we're just saying it is and we're structuring our entire civilization based off of it? I
Mm-hmm.
think that like and 1 + 1 may not equals to 2, right? That could also just be false. It's just something that we assume is true. Because say I have one ball and I have another ball, right? We're adding them together. The balls will not equals to two balls because each ball is gonna be fundamentally different. Like their weight's gonna be
Yeah.
different, or their height. So there's no such thing as 1 + 1 = 2. But we're taking it for granted for all of these proofs and all of these calculations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of this information that we'll have in the future will follow the same structure, right? We're gonna have these proofs based off of ideas that may not even be true, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because we'll assume it's true, so it doesn't really matter if it's not true.
Are you saying we
It's
take certain axioms?
we do see like there's a difference. Yeah, axioms. Like yes,
Mm.
so for axioms are basically like rules that we assume are true to start proofs, right? But
Mm.
axioms are a little bit different than what I'm saying. It's because
Mm.
axioms are very basic. They're very low level, right?
Mm.
Just by definition of an axiom. But I'm saying there'll be more high level, like quote unquote
Collective like
fact.
agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Okay, interesting.
it's gonna be. I sorry, I didn't hear that, Rishi. What'd you say?
Did you say collective agreements?
Yeah, it'll be a collective agreement that is true, similar to the axiom that 1 + 1 = 2, right?
Yeah, interesting.
I think it still
Huh.
like matters which um truths we kind of go for though, because it's all about like what actually works the best. Like we can't be 100% certain that 1 + 1 = 2, but we use it because it's useful for us to be able to do things. Like we can build this whole field of mathematics based on the principles of like 1 + 1 = 2 and basic arithmetic. And then we can like use those things to build rockets, right? And that's like kind of what all of science is and why science is so valuable compared to like other truths, right? Is because it uses as much evidence as possible to try to set us up in the right direction, and it's adjustable, right, over time.
Kyle, you know why 1 + 1 = 2 works though, right? It's because 1 + 1 is close enough to 2. Like it's not going to be far enough to where our calculation, like say we're launching a spacecraft, like this difference will be basically indistinguishable from our
Wait, what
calculation.
difference though? Because aren't we defining numbers as 1 + 1 = 2? Like, isn't that the definition of 2? That it is 1 + 1?
What is the definition of one then? Let me ask you that.
Half
I
of
mean, it's
two.
arbitrary. It's just a singular unit of anything.
So in that case, if one is arbitrary, that means 1 + 1 = 2 is also arbitrary, right? It's the
It
same
is, yeah,
argument.
yeah, yeah.
So
No,
we're
I agree.
basically
It
the
is.
right.
Of
So
agreement that
my
like there's
point
a
is,
symbol 1, symbol 2.
yeah, even if things at the low level, like the very like quantum level, they're not like exactly the same, they're gonna be close
Mm.
enough to the same, right? Because this goes into things like
Oh,
string
you're saying
theory.
like why does one ball plus one ball equal two balls? But it's not actually two balls. It's just that what we say is two balls. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly. It's
Okay,
close
I
enough
see.
to two balls. It can be like maybe like 2.0001 or like
Yeah.
1.9999. But it's close enough to two balls to where we can just use it as like a 99.99% accuracy type thing,
Mhm.
and we can launch spacecrafts because it's close enough. Like the real universal law is close enough, right?
Yeah.
But the thing
So
is, what if we have something less straightforward that we take for granted? What happens then? You know?
Like what?
like something that like seems to work but isn't actually like accurate enough to build upon.
Right, right.
Because I'm
Um,
thinking like astrology, you know, like you could see some facts and like see evidence that this stuff is real, you know, but it's really just like social manipulation.
Mm.
And there's no real substance there, right?
Yeah.
I think a good solution to this would be with symbiotic logic, you can break down arguments into a form of kind of like mathematical language. And you basically can see what the assumptions are within an argument. So if we were able to train AI at a certain point to watch different videos and not say if they are true or they are false, but just identify all the axioms along the way to make up their point. So then you can see,
Oh,
okay, this is true if we take all of these axioms.
Max, you should look into Stephen Wolfram's AI, Wolfram Alpha's AI. It is completely based on symbolic logic. I believe so, at least. And so it is supposed to be like the most truthful kind of AI algorithm, I guess, because it essentially is based on uh, it is based on symbolic logic.
What is it called?
Wolfram Alpha AI.
Wolfram. Just look up like keywords are like Wolfram Alpha AI, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen Wolfram.
Is it a website?
It's Wolfram Alpha is like this giant company. There's no looking right either. I don't think it's
Oh, I can't hear you.
like
you're cutting out, Rishi.
Oh, I think it's my headphone. It just doesn't work. Wolfram Alpha is like this huge company that does like a bunch of essentially what they do is they help researchers. Like they have a lot of tools that help researchers, like Mathematicas and like they just have a lot of tools that help research. And they have this AI that's specifically meant for researchers because it delivers correct reasoning based on symbolic logic. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I can't find it. That sounds very interesting. Thank you for bringing that up.
No worries.
It looks just, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Compare symbolic.
WolframAlpha.com.
Wolfram. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, wolframalpha.com. And it basically just it's like an LLM that works on symbolic logic, I believe. So it's very interesting. That might be a way to kind of check truth, Max. I don't think it'll win, but it might be a good way to check truth.
You don't think it'll win?
No.
It's all just popularity contests, bro.
Oh, because dude, with truth, I've noticed a lot of different ideologies, instead of trying to find out what is true, they will do anything not to admit they're wrong. What is interesting about these four people right here, I have heard all of you admit that you're wrong at one point or another. The average person will go for lengths. So with truth and with research, they just discard research if they don't like it. And then they accept research they like, even if it's pseudoscience. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It is bad, yeah.
I think I was having an interesting philosophy discussion with this person who's Muslim, He's one of my friends. He's also a universalist, which is interesting. Like
Ah.
somewhat of a universalist at least, where he like believes that we should attain all cosmic knowledge. We basically came to the conclusion that religion and science, the one thing science does is, or universalism and science, what it does is it makes the least possible assumptions that you can operate on. And you go forward from the least possible assumptions, and you get more data to update your assumptions. With religion, it's essentially like you take a couple assumptions and you go forward operating on those, right? So essentially what science is like religion if it operated on fewer assumptions. Interesting. It's another belief system. But yeah, I don't know, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, with religion, they're just unquestionable assumptions.
Yeah.
Exactly. And apparently in Islam, it is very much it is promoted to understand more about the world. Like in the Quran, apparently, they talk about like many sections where they say, oh, you should learn this for yourself, you should understand the world. So it is kind of parallel to universalism, I guess.
With all religions, they train the students to seek truth above all else and get firsthand experience. But then it contradicts with the actual religion. It's a very interesting thing. There is a study about what made people go into religion versus come out, and that was one of the key points. People that searched for truth within their religion often would leave their religion, versus people that went into religions, it was more for emotional reasons and not truth.
Interesting. Hedonism versus universalism. Yeah. Well, I probably should go. AJ, do you want to have our meeting like right now?
Yeah, if possible. Can you do that?
Okay, cool. Well, it's good talking, guys. Like that, good conversation. Very interesting. It went off. It was like social media, and then and generative AI, and symbolic logic and truth. Very interesting path.
Bye, Rishi. Bye, Jay. Have a good one.